Let's get out of the zone phone. Joining us now, of course, you see him on KJazz, Jazz Plus, SEG Plus. He's probably all over the planet because he's the one and only Mike Smith with us here on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, Mike, I'm really curious. Everyone has bad days at work. Not you, but everyone else has bad days at work. When a team absolutely no-shows the way the Jazz did in Portland, in your experience, having played in the NBA the way you did, what happens? Why is that most commonly?
Okay, you mean what is the reaction by the team and the coach and all
happened?
that? Or how
happened?
can it happen?
How does it happen?
It just happens. Like, it can totally happen. Sports are fickle that way. You know, how did Tiger ever shoot a 74? You know, how did he not win every time he teed it up? It's just sometimes you have an off night, and I felt like they missed shots. I feel like they missed makeable shots in that game, and it got them off. And then maybe the weight of the road trip starting to play on their minds a little bit. And Portland could have their number. Like, Portland just seems like one of those teams that can play really hard against you. They didn't even play a point guard, right? They put Denny Avdia, a 6'8.5" guy, as kind of their facilitator, and the rest are all longer players. I think Klingon had something to do with that too. I think he changed some shots and he made people think about shots. Not that he's an all-world defender yet, but his mere size forced Lowry to really work at the rim. And I will say this, it felt like we just missed some makeable shots, and it started to go in a direction that's, it's just, I'll give you a personal experience. There's a year, 1995, I'm playing for the Clippers, and I've had 7 good games in a row, really good games. And our coach is Bill Fitch. Bill Fitch was a player hater. Bill Fitch is Larry Bird's coach in 81. When they win the title, he's a Rocket coach. He won 1,000 games, and he probably lost 1,400 games. But I think he made the Hall of Fame because of that one title. And Bird used to tell me stories from the old Fitch days, how he just hated players. And he said, he was like, Smitty, just be glad you never had a Bill Fitch training camp. They were brutal. But anyway, he's my coach on the Clippers. I have 7, 8 good games in a row, and we come out and we play. Bernie Bickerstaff was the coach. I can't even remember. It's in the old sports arena in L.A. And Bernie comes over to me before the game and says, "You were a part of our scouting report." I don't know why he was saying that, but maybe to get in my head. But he was basically he was saying, "Congrats. You've made it again. You were in the league, you were out of the league, you're back. You were a part of our scouting report coming off the bench. We had a game plan for you." And I had probably 9 open shots. And between me, you, and Ben and Jake, I didn't miss many open shots, right? I was a good shooter. And I missed all 9 of those. In the 18 minutes I played. I later made 2 layups, and so I finished the game 2 for 11. And every shot felt like it was golden. Every shot felt like it was pure as pure could be. And 8 of the 9 hit back rim and came off. It's just a weird thing in sports. It left my fingertips, and whatever signals your nerve endings give your hands to your brain, to your body, to kind of mimic and provide feedback for all the practice you've done, they all felt like they were down. And they missed long. And sometimes there's nothing you can do. It leaves your hand and you're like, that's going in. There's other nights you might shoot a shot and you're like, that's got no chance. And it goes in. And you take it. You're like, okay, well, I'll take that one. Didn't feel good when it left my hand. But sports is a weird thing. It just can happen on a given night. And then if multiple players have an off night, especially on the Jazz, where you're dependent on 2 guys to have great nights, then you can get beat up. And unfortunately, that was kind of the case.
If outside of Keontae George, Mike, which I do think Keontae is the biggest story so far this year with the Utah Jazz. So if we take Keontae out, what do you think is the biggest story, positive or negative, going on with the team right now?
I think the reemergence or the re-solidification that Lauri Markkanen's an all-star. I think that's story 1A to Keontae's breakout year. And I think the offense in general, in other words, the ability to move the ball, and that their passing has become part of their identity, that their ball movement is just a staple of a Will Hardy coached team, that's something that you can just see happening and becoming part of their nature. And that's cool. Like, it's becoming part of the Jazz way. Like, they're going to show up and they're going to move the ball. And it's not going to be a lot of isolation ball. It's just going to be fast-paced movement. And that makes basketball fun to me. I think that's the most fun way to play. You get that ball moving and get 35 assists a night. And wasn't that way at the beginning of the season, right? But like December on, I think our offense is like, let's just exclude the other night against Portland, but to that point, our offense is 8th best. That's kind of cool. You know, there's a ways to go. And, you know, you're trying to build a championship team and a contender, so there's pieces still to find, and there's progress still to be made on the defensive end. But I'd say Keontae 1, Lauri 1A, and the identity of a Jazz offense today would be, let's just call it 2A.
I'm not ready to crown him, but a lot of people were willing to bury him, and that's Cody Williams, who really over his last 6 games or so is playing pretty well. He's shown well when he's on the floor. He's not great shooting the ball every night, but he's aggressive going to the rim. His defense, I think, has always been solid. He needs to get a lot stronger. But what have you seen from Cody Williams?
I've seen a change in his demeanor and in his confidence. And whether that means the game is slowing down, I don't know, but it appears like it is slowing down to him visually. But most certainly his demeanor has changed. His confidence has improved. The look in his eyes is much more certain. And he's kind of developing this knack to cut at the right time. But decisive forays to the goal are a huge step in the right direction. And I don't give up on guys early. So speaking with our great leader, Danny Ainge, not too long ago, he's telling me the story of Andrew Neesmith, who Boston drafted in the middle of the first round, a few years back. And, came in with whatever acclaim he had. And Danny told me, frankly, that Romeo Langford beat him out. Like, Romeo Langford just played better in practices, in games. The game was not too fast for Romeo, and for Neesmith it was initially, and so he was struggling with the sporadic minutes he was getting, and he wasn't producing. And Danny said, I never judge guys too early, because fast forward 3, 4, 5 years, Romeo Langford not in the league, Neesmith a starter on an NBA finalist last year. He goes, so he says, you just have to be careful that the game can look too fast for a young rookie who doesn't get the right kind of minutes. And I think that was certainly the case for Cody. Last year was unfair, as Will Hardy has said, for the whole season for him to be thrust into that to see what he could become. And he should have maybe spent the whole season in the D-League and just continued to develop, get stronger, build confidence. And so if you're seeing it, Ben, I'm seeing it too. He's getting better. He's getting more confidence. The reps are coming, which is cool. And he's starting to make the most of it.
Ben and I were batting about a theory yesterday about defense, right? And what, why good defensive teams are good defensive teams. And my theory is that if the team's best player, the alpha, whatever you want to call it, is busting their butt on defense, then everybody else has to. And if you look at some of the great defenses, like the Bulls in the 90s, like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen got after it. Everybody else had to get after it. What do you think about that What do you think about that theory? It's not so much about scheme, it's about effort and who is putting in the effort.
Well, I think most coaches at this level are going to have the best schemes in the world. They shouldn't be short on schemes. So there are a few coaches who tend to stand out with their ideas, their schemes, but most at this level are going to be good enough to come up with concepts and theories that are going to work. So I do agree that more important is effort. I do agree that if your best player is also a dogged defender and gets after it, it sets the tone for the others. But I do think length matters. I think shot blocking at the rim matters. And I think a collection of, in other words, not just one good defender, but multiple good defenders. So it's not just Pippen and Jordan. It's also Horace Grant is a terrific defensive rebounder. And Ron Harper, you could put on any of the three best wing or point guard players in some of those Bulls years, right? So it matters. Like that kind of defensive DNA, I think, matters as well. But there's no question guys can come into the league not a great defender and become really good defenders. I believe in that too. So I think I'm with you on all that.
Mike, we appreciate you. Thanks for jumping on with us as always. And we have a road game, so I'm going to see you tonight, right?
You will. It's you and I and the coach, Tim Lacombe, tonight will wax deep on what the heck is wrong with the Oklahoma City offense.
Well, I think they forgot how to play basketball. I think that's the thing they just
Their
forgot.
defense is still elite. I think they're 6-6, right? In the last 12 games after starting the year 24-1. But we'll get into it tonight if anybody wants to tune in. For one thing, they were number one in the league in assist to turnover. They're 13th in the last 12 games. Their offense has gone from top 3 to 22nd in terms of efficiency if you just take the last 12 games where they've lost 6. But that'll be fun to dive into tonight.
Mike, you're the best. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. See you guys.